So is Geo's? Are we streaming on here? Okay.
It's gonna be through the phone.
I was
Talk
just gonna
really
update.
loud.
Okay, I'm updating Dave. So we're gonna take it halfway up.
Okay.
And then show everybody halfway up. When we get to the top, we're gonna explain that it's too wet to go out, but that if it clears up, that maybe we could go after the show and do it digitally. That's what they asked. And
do you let people? I mean, if it stops, is that okay, or is it?
We
just check. We just need to check it before we go.
Yeah. I mean,
okay.
I just don't want to say anything that we're not doing.
Yeah. No, we can.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and we're not gonna be like 9 o'clock. Like,
Oh yeah. No, you guys.
Right.
I mean, no, but this makes for good extra content.
Yeah.
You guys can share later. Yeah.
So we are. Are we out of the? What time is it? Okay.
6:28.
Okay. So we can go halfway up.
Yeah. Now?
Whenever, yeah.
Oh yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Are we coming out straight out?
Hold on, let me see.
So we're
Go
starting
ahead.
halfway up.
Is it straight to us?
Here we go.
I don't. I'm looking.
Oh,
right
here
now.
we go.
There we go.
So if we are streaming live, okay,
We're live.
we are
Live.
going.
Well, so Derek's camera is
Yeah.
live.
There's
Our audio
Derek.
might be on.
I don't know, where is Derek? There he is. Okay, so we are on our way up right now, Maureen. What do you think?
You know what? Whoa!
Oh, yeah, it does pick up.
We picked up some speed. I'm excited. Like this is
Wow.
this is childhood. But now that I'm getting halfway up, I don't know. I don't know if I'd be able to like walk out on a platform.
Whenever I'm on Power at Tower and you sit there for that
Oh,
couple seconds before you go down,
Oh,
I just love looking around at the entire park. So, but it always goes so quick. You don't get to experience a long period of time. So this is going to be amazing.
This is fantastic.
That's the cool thing about this is you get that extra time to not.
Yeah.
You know.
Stop.
It figures it has to rain.
Where is the
today,
platform?
right?
Is it not going to be on
So
that
we're
side?
not even halfway yet?
We're halfway.
Okay, that's actually maybe the rain was a blessing. If this is halfway, I'm getting a little nervous. No.
You guys are going to have to stand real close to each other.
Okay.
15 out.
Coming right on to us?
Yes.
Okay.
And then we're going to go the rest of the way up, right? When we're on.
Yeah.
Just a heads up, I'm going to come around when they start talking about
You
itself.
can get my mug in there up here. Okay. Cool. It's a tight space.
Somebody don't want to
Welcome back here at 6:30 on your Friday morning. We are live at Cedar Point. Not only are we live at Cedar Point, we are headed to the top of the Valravn.
That's
We
right.
did get an update that we are a no-go when it comes to walking out onto the platform, but we are in the elevator that leads all the way to the top. So we're going to give you this look right now at what we're seeing. And Dave, I mean, we can pretty much see every inch of the park.
It's incredible. So it's a 10-foot platform, and there's just too much rain right now to take the risk to go out there. Even though you have a harness on, you could still slip and fall, so it's too dangerous to actually walk out. But right now, we are on our way up to the top, and as you mentioned, the views. We were just talking, Maureen, like when you're in the power tower, you have about a couple seconds to see the entire park and the lake and everything that's around you. Right now, we are experiencing that view. It's incredible. So this is the top right here, as you can see, live at the top of the Valravn. And then all around us, we can see the lake and the park and everything around. It's incredible.
Yeah. Holly, can you see? Now, I want to show you out this way,
Yeah,
too,
come over
because
here,
you
Gio.
can really see just how far up we are. I mean, we are above all of the roller coasters. We're above the parking lots. We're above the lake. So it's extreme.
All right,
Yeah.
Holly, back to you, and we will be back in moments for more as we continue our journey here.
Yeah, we'll show you more of this look out over the park.
Our man Tony.
How long can we stay up on the elevator?
All day.
All day?
Well, not all day.
They're asking if we can. Yeah. Well,
Yeah, we can
for
stay
the
up.
next 15, 20 minutes, you think? Okay. Yeah.
When's your next hit?
When's our next hit, Jenny?
Because I was going to say we can swap cameras if he can still live view it.
Okay, we're doing weather traffic.
I was gonna say if you guys, I
If you
mean,
have time.
I have mine that I can go and just
Sunrise
strap
for?
on
Okay.
Say how much sunrise.
instead of the cell phone. It would be a lot nicer. Your audio and everything
We
would
can-
be so much better.
Yeah, so if there's time, we can go all the way back down, grab his camera, and come all the way back up.
Let
If
me
you want,
see.
if you want a better shot and all of that. Now that we're not getting out. it probably makes sense.
Hey Jenny, can you hear us? After this hit, we could go back down and get the camera to make it a better shot and be live in the elevator. Okay.
We're next.
What
If-
can we see? Gatekeeper, Raptor,
Blue Streak,
Blue Streak.
Max Air, Giant Wheel, Wicked
Okay.
Twister, Wind
Yeah, after
Seeker,
this, we'll go down and get a regular camera so we
Kitty
it's
Kingdom.
better.
Starbucks. Not open
You
yet.
guys added a Starbucks?
Here we go.
Okay.
I'm gonna start on you guys.
Well, we are safe, no doubt about it, as you're looking live here. And I mean, it's crazy to see the parking lot with no cars.
Yeah.
Usually I see thousands of cars in there. You see the Raptor, the Gatekeeper, the most amazing coasters, of course. Now, we know Cedar Point's more than just the coasters. I mean, there's so much more here. Family-friendly stuff. I mean, the breakers, and you can
Yeah.
see the breakers out to the left in the beach. So much to do here, Maureen.
Yeah, and if you want to do what we're doing right now, we've been talking about these sunrise tours. Here's how you can do it. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna wrap, and then we're clear for a while. You will position ourselves if you want to see us.
Yeah.
You want me to go on
Yeah,
that side?
go over there, Gio.
Herbert, you stay there.
So then we're tossing back to Holly. Ending.
Do you want to say like that's the platform where we would have been?
Gio, she wants to see us.
Straight?
Yeah, it's a dual box, and then you guys will go down. We'll get a. And it is an amazing experience to be this tall, this high, and see the park from this view. So if you're interested in the sunrise tour,
I mean, it's
What do you think?
it's a no-brainer. I mean, you get to see the behind the scenes, which you don't get to see normally, and then you get to go up 223 feet high into the air. Unfortunately, we're not going to get to go outside right now, but we are at the very top right now with incredible views that you can see nowhere else, right? And then you get to ride some coasters along with that during the morning.
Yeah.
So it's a different time of the day. It's an incredible journey, no doubt.
Holly, Danielle, we'll all make it out here one morning. Okay.
Clear?
All right,
All right,
we'll go
go.
get the camera.
Hold on. Come with me. See, so you can see those little teeth I was telling you about?
Yeah.
That's what those things are flapping all the way up.
Now, when people walk these stairs,
That's only in an evacuation situation. If we can't, if the elevator won't move.
what about workers, though?
There's no railing.
They inspect it, but they inspect it with the elevator.
Okay.
And if they have to get out and look at something, they can. The maintenance guys are harnessed completely different than we are, so
Okay.
they could actually tether to the track
Okay.
itself, and actually climb onto the track if they needed to. Not for me.
Could you imagine, like,
Not
if
for
you
me.
did get stuck and you
Yeah.
have to walk down these steps?
I mean, I'd be nervous to
Oh,
walk
Yeah,
down.
it would have to be an extreme situation
Yeah.
for us to use these stairs. Let me put it that way. This elevator exists for multiple purposes, and the primary purpose is really to evacuate at the top if we needed to. But the stairs are there, of course, as a backup.
Maybe a dumb question: do any of the other coasters have an elevator?
And there's two that do, but they're not the same. So one top wheel dragster has a tiny metal box in the middle of the structure that goes up. And then Millennium Force has a bucket that's like this, but it's not enclosed. It's a smaller basket. But it goes up the same way on an angle like this and with a cable.
Yeah.
Everything else is pretty much foot power. And the stairs are that far apart, so your legs get a really nice workout.
I had to go up this one, Raptor and Gatekeeper on Monday. On
Oh,
the
wow.
same day.
And they don't look tall. You get halfway up them and you're like, oh my god, my
Yeah.
waist.
Yeah.
Okay, so run and get that camera. We'll wait here.
They're using the stream on this. I didn't know that.
Okay, so do you want us to keep this up? No matter what. Jenny, do you want me? Because we're going to go get the
So do we...
camera. Oh.
I didn't know we were streaming still. I know what we can do. I'll grab that other clamp. Do you guys want to
Or
just...
I can hold it.
Yeah, I was going to say...
Yeah,
just
we can hold it.
We'll wait here.
Yeah, he's going to get a mount for it. Does Lusty Lils still exist, or is that out? Mm-hmm. Lusty Lils is still?
Yep.
My brother always got lost. Always. I mean, it was just like, we'd go to Cedar Point, we'd ride this ride, my brother would get lost, then we'd go, and it was like because there was only one.
Yeah.
You'd be like, if you get lost,
That's where you
go
go.
to Lusty Lils.
Yeah. That's not going anywhere. That's
another one?
A good show venue for us. So.
Yeah. What's in there? I don't think I've ever even been in there.
We do a Wild West review.
Oh, okay.
It's more of a French can kind of show.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of like it's Lusty Lil's version of a French review, and it's not really, it's supposed to be funny, like it's not really the real deal.
Yeah.
But Frontier Town in general is kind of kitschy, funny, not a completely accurate representation. It's like Cedar Point's representation of it. So we've done a lot of work back there, especially with Steel Vengeance and the characters that walk around now, and the Frontier Festival, which is new this year.
Yeah.
It's a really cool place to spend time now.
Is it? What are the characters?
So we have the 3 characters from Steel Vengeance that were part of the announcement. And we also just have other Western kind of characters that make an appearance that are part of like the Bluegrass Jamboree that plays on the stage. They come out and meet people. We have some additional characters that show up during the summer festivals to get photos with guests and things like that. So it's cool. We're trying to do the whole more than just rides. It's all kinds of immersive stuff that is unexpected.
It's so great.
Like this.
Yeah.
This was kind of the first step, I
Yeah.
think, in that in getting those better experiences was this thing right here.
Yeah.
And it's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun. I can't wait to.
2 minutes and 23 seconds for the length. Does that have anything to do with the height being the same?
I mean, I don't. Yeah, that's what the height. It's a coincidence, I would say, right?
Yeah. It's so cool. I can't wait to bring my 5-year-old. What's Gio doing?
As soon as he gets in, we'll just go.
What's that, sir?
As soon as he gets in, we'll just go.
Okay.
Still standing.
All right. So after this break, we throw to a thought about it's basically what's new. I think it's the interview that you guys did this morning. Toss out to weather. Then it's a break. They do a speed feed, and then we say goodbye, and we toss to the weekender. We're in the elevator.
So just keep in mind you're streaming.
Yeah, no
They said anything.
No.
Oh, okay.
I believe I saw Derek walking. Derek is walking towards us right now, so I'm assuming that means he's going to use his camera, but I don't know that because we haven't spoken to him. We do have the phone in here. Gio left it with us. He's bringing a live view pack. I see him walking now. If you want to see. It's the tag team right there.
$90 out.
There.
So they want to know what camera we're going to use on the next shot. That's
I'm
the
using
question.
Derek's camera.
Derek's camera will be used. Derek's camera.
Talk. Okay, Gio, they need mics. They need mics.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we need mics, huh?
You got him.
There's one.
Talk, guys.
Hello, 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 hello.
You got him.
Okay. Okay.
You're staying in.
I can run up.
Yep, same thing.
Okay. I have a computer with us.
Can we do it as we go?
Yep.
Okay. Can you stay for a second?
Yep.
Well, I mean,
Tell me.
you want us to stop the
Yeah.
elevator?
Stop.
Yeah.
What's new? Okay.
That's what I'll read.
Memorial Day weekend.
Am I good here?
Okay.
Pick
Are
of
we,
what?
We're the pick? Are we the pick?
Wait, no one knows. That's how it works.
I have 7 seconds.
Okay, go.
But baby, you ain't seen nothing yet.
You really haven't yet.
I've never sang at Cedar Point
In an
on
elevator.
on the Wonkavator is basically what we're calling this, right? That's what it feels like. Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory.
It does.
And we are moving right now, Maureen.
We are making our way right to the top of the Valravn. We went down. We picked up a few more crew members because, hey, you can't miss this view this morning. There are so many new things here at Cedar Point. For the past couple of weeks, we've been talking about the Monster Jam Thunder Alley. That's where you get a chance to ride in the Monster truck.
That's right, but that's not all people are getting excited for. The brand new Forbidden Frontier on Adventure Island opens Memorial Day weekend. It's a little different for the park because it's what they call an abstract attraction.
Watch your head, dude.
Tony also says there will be 2 new restaurants making their debut this year as well. And what's interesting about this, Tony was telling me, is that usually Maureen Cedar Point wants to say, hey, this is the tallest ride or the fastest ride, or you got to come do this. But with this, there's some excitement because you don't know exactly what you're going to get, and they don't want you to know.
Well, and we've been talking with Tony, who's in the elevator with us all morning long, and really, he's been telling us about how they want to make this such an event, an immersion event for families. You don't want to, like, everybody wants to come and ride the roller coaster, but what else can they offer? And they've really been focusing on that. Mm-hmm. So, for me, then it feels like, okay, I have a young family. We're not riding the huge coasters, but we can still come and be busy all day long.
That's right. This summer, I'm going to take a weekend and go to the Breakers.
Yeah.
Okay, because the beach out there, you do not feel like you're in Ohio. Yeah. It's incredible out there. So there's a lot to do besides just the coasters here. Of course, the coasters.
Today, I feel like I'm in Ohio with the rain, and it's still a little chilly, even though it's May.
True story, as Holly likes to say. True story.
Yeah.
Great job.
Yeah.
Nice job.
Nice job.
Good job. Good job.
All right, we're just gonna switch out right here.
No, you're good.
It's just how
This
we
is
ended
when
up.
you really
Sorry.
get to know each other really well.
It's a small box. It's fine.
We live with each other all summer,
Yeah.
so nothing is uncomfortable.
Pick only, no. Okay.
Just started family.
Yeah, me too.
Do you still have people coming from all over
The world.
the world to come and work here?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How does that application process work?
They go through a program that's separate from Cedar Point. It's more of an education program. It's the what is what's it called?
CIE.
Yeah, CIE. They basically take care of the hard work of making sure they're getting educational experience while they're here.
Did you hear what you
And
just
then
said?
we
Okay.
have
Yeah.
we do the interviews still. We
Do you want me to dial you guys in?
Uh-huh.
And a lot
No,
of
I'm
just
dialing
the
you in,
experience
Gio.
of
Okay.
learning more English or learning our culture. And they not only work here but like the islands. They have folks that go over there. Other local attractions,
Oh, there's
tourist
a light on
attractions. They all
460.
have all those people too.
Answer your phone, Jill.
Yeah,
What an incredible experience
Muted.
for somebody who
yeah.
wants to just come over and just
There really is a lot of cool things.
Which
that
one,
go
Dan?
on here.
I would say
and
just like
a lot
through
of
this
people don't
window
know
here.
about it.
If you can get over, can you make it?
What's it do? The orange one?
Just come here and just go through this of all the coasters. You'd have to walk to your left.
get my bearings.
There
So
you
is
go.
this like the kiddie area?
Kitty Kingdom's
Did
over
I
there on
kill
the
it
right.
again, Jill?
Okay.
Yes, you
And
did.
then on the left is Planet Snoopy.
Dial me in. Go ahead. You dial it.
I've been to Planet Snoopy. Those Berenstain Bears.
And then merge me.
When was the last time you were here?
No, when I was a kid. It
I
was
know.
very
When were you here
gosh.
last?
It has to be like to come and spend a day, 7 or 8 years ago.
Yeah, because that changed
Stand by pick.
Yeah.
a while ago,
Yeah.
and that's why that might not look familiar.
Yeah.
It's still a little scary though. Right? You know, a little scared.
Yeah, I mean, I'm holding on.
I know it's weird because you just when you're riding, it's just a different feeling, even though you're still up the same height.
Yeah.
You're strapped in. You're
Come on, Mark. You gotta let me know when I'm hot, dude.
I always feel like you're pretty high in the sky ride.
You ready?
I know.
No, not.
I hear it for
the
some
Millennium
reason.
Force one. I've ridden to the top. I can't get out.
No.
Oh, really?
I
Oh, okay.
physically can't get
Wait,
out.
where is that one?
You got.
Over there.
Yeah,
Okay, you can't see it.
Now
Yeah.
dragster I can because the catwalk when you get out
That's all right.
is this. It's got two big hefty railings and the catwalk's really long.
I don't
But
need
at the
it.
top
That
it's
was an accident.
angled like this, so you literally just kind of open the door and look out and then close it back up.
I don't
Are
know.
you in?
Yeah, we don't spend much time up there.
As long as you are, I mean, that's really all that matters. I got the streaming.
It's about the top thrill.
Oh yeah,
Where is it?
Top thrill is over.
it's over there.
Answer
Yeah.
your phone.
The ride's
Answer
walking.
your phone.
Have you been on
Can
that?
you straighten this up?
Yeah.
Cause that's
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, I have not gone on Valravn and Magnum. Magnum?
Steel
Really?
Vengeance.
Steel
Steel
You wouldn't have done
You've done
Steel Vengeance.
Magnum.
Magnum you've probably done.
Yes.
Magnum's been around for a while.
89, yeah.
Yeah,
It's-
and I
it's good.
like.
Look at
you
it.
still
You don't
haven't
like
done
that?
it? Oh.
It's
No,
cool.
I like a couple times like, in like grade school. I get like to the car and I'm like, nope, and I ran like right through. I was like, nope, can't do it. Like,
What's the one again that replaced the? What's the one in the back
If
that's
you're not
really?
doing
Is it
it,
the
then
Maverick?
just
Maverick.
hold it.
I
Yeah.
don't think I've ever been on the Maverick because every time the line is long,
It's one of our slowest moving lines.
and I just never get in, and
And then it shuts down when you get right to the
Okay.
front. That happened to me.
I've never been on
Yep.
that.
You do realize you're streaming, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Happens to me too.
But that's the
That
fun
was
of
my
it, folks
favorite
at home, that you come here and you enjoy the moment and, you know.
What are we doing? Yeah, I don't even know.
it's
Look
back
at your feet,
to
bro.
they're taking this
Step
the
over.
speed feed and then
Step over, please.
weather and then it's us just tossing to the weekender.
So we're at that's all we have. Is that
Right? We just have the toss to the weekender.
Jill, take it off, pan around the park,
I don't
show our lovely viewers
Okay.
that you can see all over the park.
Alrighty, everybody. We are live here at the top of the platform.
And let's show Maureen. Show Maureen and Dave as
Hey,
you move
guys.
over into that corner over there. All right. All right. Keep going. There you go. See, people, we work together out here.
There's been something fun about just being in the elevator.
I
It's
know.
an experience.
Yeah. I know my mic is a little.
Should we have a better background than just? I mean, I know the lake's
How about
cool,
you?
but should
How
we?
about, why don't we swing around
Yeah,
so
that'd
we
be
can
fun.
darken
We can
it?
move over there.
Yeah, why don't we
Why
actually?
don't we
why don't
darken it up?
Or do you
So
want
we
to stand
see
here?
You
the.
want us to?
Why don't
What's
we-
better, that to actually see the coaster?
I think that, yeah, because it
You know what I mean?
shows how high we are.
Yes, and I can pan off.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're gonna kiss me. You can wait till later, okay?
Yours.
Tell me, do.
Yeah. I got you.
Birthday today.
Huh?
Birthday today.
I just looked down.
He's 30?
Yeah.
What's he, 30 today?
Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah, 32. He told his administrative assistant that he's 33. She didn't believe him.
Shit, I quit counting at 50.
Can you imagine if it wasn't like a cloudy day, what it would be like?
I know the clouds
Well, all of a
kind
sudden,
of rolled
yeah,
in.
all of a sudden. You can
Now
see
we got. We actually have to go down more if you want to see.
Let's get the bird poop first.
Perfect. Tell me you're using it for white balance.
Are you okay there, Derek?
Perfect.
Can I get you anything?
Coffee,
656 is what you can get me.
I know, I'm working on it. Yeah, it's neat.
There's not really anything. I'm just holding this at this point. There's not really anything scripted.
Do you want me to hold it for you?
Now here's a question: if we were allowed to, would you guys have gotten out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It would have been fun.
What about you, Mom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe a little vomit on there. Whatever. Okay.
You're okay, Gio. I'm not going to
Say
do
the
anything
clouds
to
have
you.
moved in, so
Okay?
we're
Oh, I don't want to
after
unplug
coasting
your shot.
this weekend. Okay.
You're not my type, okay?
Yes. Well, Holly, I have to tell you, live report here, live weather report. The clouds just rolled in, so you can't even see out the park anymore. That's how high up we are. So we're showing you the top of the coaster
This
here.
is the top. Valravn, right there.
And you can see why, for safety reasons. They told us we're getting to the top of the elevator, but we're not walking out.
I mean, I'm literally looking down to the bottom of the park right now, and there are stairs right here. This is the top of the coaster right here. I mean, you only get to see this, okay, if you do the sunrise thrills tour.
The Sunrise
So,
Thrills Tour.
okay.
We're gonna hang and see if we can get out there sometime today, but
In
I
the
think we're just
meantime-
gonna have to come back on a sunny day.
That's right. In the meantime, we always love looking back on Friday. Have a great weekend, everybody.
And that's it.
Down we go.
Nice job. Thanks.
Hang on. Yeah.
Sorry.
You can see the coast.
If we waited an hour, is there any chance that we would go out there?
Let me look at the radar.
He's gonna look at the radar. Jenny, I have to tell you, it's picking up. I mean, like,
This is what you see, Jenny.
We are descending from the platform.
okay.
Because if you get out there, it's what you're going to see.
Milk.
And this is what you see, Jenny.
Right.
Milky.
It's in the hands of Cedar Point.
Actually, it's in Holly's hands, not mine.
Yeah.
So
We'll give him a nudge.
Hey, those little light board worked out for me.
Hey, great job, everybody.
Backlights.
Good hustle.
Great job.
Thanks.
Yes, thank you so much. He's operating.
Yeah, I would like to get.
Dave,
All right, so
Dave,
you're
Okay,
next
next
one.
one.
have to ask
Is that where you
something
don't have to?
just to be. No.
Just want to get some shots.
it's like talking to a cop now about a camera.
There's the top of Valravn as we just are getting to the bottom. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah,
You're welcome. Thanks for
crew.
coming.
Yeah, we got a good experience.
Okay, I just wanted to get that.
She wants to take a cutting from where we were.
We can go back up. You're okay.
When did we?
All right, thank you everybody for tuning in.
All right.
Hopefully we'll be able to go back up soon.